This morning I just want to do a quick update on the hash tree. It started to flower, so this video I'll just use as a mark for the first flowers that's opened on the hash tree. There's still a lot of them in the cauliflower phase. There's only a few that's opened. It's been really slow because winter is properly set in. It's the first warm day sunshiny day. Sun's out, there's not a cloud in the sky, but this morning it was 2 degrees Celsius. A little bit of frost on the vehicle's windscreens, the cars that stood outside. It's got a little bit of frost on, but the trees are looking healthy. We had a tremendous amount of rain. It's been the wettest May and June, as well as so far in July, the wettest 3 months that we've had since 1983. That's 40 years, plus minus. So it's really wet, but it doesn't seem to negatively affected the trees up until now. The drainage is good. So this is the hash tree. Just gonna pan out. He started to flower. I'm actually happy about the cold weather. It slows these trees down a little bit, because in the past they'd flower too early, and then after that we get cold spells, and then that's why this hash tree's never set fruit in 4 years. So hopefully this is the year. Then off to the right here we've got back to the sun. Got one of the 2 little lambs, and looking really healthy with some new buds popping or coming. There's actually some flowers. Apologies for the sun. There's the little lamb. Then here's the seedling that I've planted in the ground that's growing nice and strong, and decapitated this whole tree over here, and I've got this new growth coming out that I want to graft in late spring. So within the next 2 to 3 months I want to graft this. But here's my actual side graft that I did. You can see how the paraforms, how it's just popped out. Just put a bit of nursery tape around it just to support it. You can see the paraforms, you can actually take it off. Apologies, that was bad camera work. Just want to show what this Pinkerton graft looks like on this. The light's really bad on the seedling, and it's grown. It was just a little stick here big. It's fused nicely all the way around, and it's grown. It's put out. Look at all this new growth. And this guy I grafted Pinkerton on the 3rd March of this year, so it was late. Here's something interesting. On the other water shoot off of this tree, so there's 2 water shoots coming off of this tree, one in the left here. So I did 2 grafts of the same, and I'm really battling to focus. Apologies for that. So on the other water shoot I did exactly the same graft as what you just seen, and you can see on the top is the dead scion, but right below on that scion there was a little dormant bud, and the whole scion died all the way, but the graft fused right at the bottom, and that dormant bud shot out a little Pinkerton shoot over there. So this will eventually shoot out and become a Pinkerton tree. So I'm going to have two limbs. There's my one Pinkerton limb and there's the other Pinkerton limb. And all I've been doing throughout is just pinching out the nodes, the internodes, and the, any new growth, like you can see on the original tree over here. There's some growth, and I'll just pinch that growth out. There's some growth. I'll just pinch that out, and then I'll allow this Pinkerton graft to grow. And over time, this will eventually die down, and this graft over here will thicken up. Should thicken up nicely, and turn into a little Pinkerton tree. So that graft is doing well. Just want to go to the other graft. Alright, so here I've got the other seedling in the ground growing on a mound. It's growing well. It's actually also sending out a lot of new growth, like over there. The light's a bit better here. It's a lot of new growth there. Now that growth I'll leave. You can see how I've just broke it off on all these limbs just to keep all of that lower than this point. And so there's my Pinkerton graft. The black is a bitumen sealer that I put on. This is new Pinkerton growth. The black is the sealer, and there's just normal callus tissue. You can see how that graft sealed over there and running up, and there's the start of a new Pinkerton tree. I want to use this tree, that's why I'm going to leave these limbs in springtime now. I want to see if I can graft some lamb on here. I want to do a multiple grafted tree on this, but all dwarf, semi-dwarf varieties like Pinkerton, lamb, and maybe some reed later on. So I'm going to do a little project in the future, and yeah. Alright, so the sun's coming through here quite nice. Here's a hass graft that I did. I see the wind's blown my tag off. We've had some serious gale force winds up to 120 kilometers an hour. The forest plantations are a mess. So many tree falls. I've taken off the parafilm, and I've just temporarily put some soft aluminium wire on there just to wound it on, just to keep it together. But this graft has popped through the parafilm, as you can clearly see, and it's growing nice. A nice little hass tree. I'll donate this to a friend once it's nice and strong. And I've got another graft that's healed, also a hass. It's also broken through. It's very slow, this graft, but it's alive. It's just really slow because it's cold outside. Don't want to put it inside this one. I want to see if it can outlast the winter, and if it does, it's nice and strong, and it'll do well in the future in the ground. And over here I've got another little hass scion that I took off the tree that we saw first, the big tree, the big ass tree. This was a seed that I planted in the soil there, and there's the graft union just with some sealer, and it's actually flowering. It's actually got some flowers. I'm just leaving the flowers. It's a small tree, not even a meter high, but it's there, and it's looking really, really healthy. I've pulled it, put a stake in, and I've actually bent it, pulled it a little bit to the left. So I want it to grow into the left, into the space here, because obviously right next to it we've got the big Fuerte that's also now put out a lot of growth. in winter. This thing is just a machine on so many levels. Look at all these flowers. This will be the heaviest flowers that I've had or seen on this Fuerte over here. There's a lot of flowers in the middle, in the center of the tree. If I go around, this tree's grown tremendously. Look at this. Look at those beautiful, beautiful flowers. And they're everywhere. So hopefully now, just I've made a video and I've mentioned it, I'm mentioning it again. Really interesting. February month there was 2 branches that flowered, 2 horizontally hanging branches. They flowered and there was a lot of fruit set. I hand pollinated them. If they're going to stick, they've been sitting since Feb, so they might just stick. There's 2 over there. There's another little one over there, and under this leaf somewhere, if it's still there, yeah, it's still there. There's the biggest one of the lot. So that's the biggest little Fuerte that I've had on this tree. So there's 4 little fruits on this horizontal hanging branch over here. Quite interesting, and they set in February. It's quite strange, and all the main flowering is actually only now starting and happening. Hey, look at that, so many, all in their cauliflower stage, and they got their little boron feed, foliar feed, so helps with the pollen production and make for stronger flower stems and so forth. But yeah, the Fuerte is looking stronger than ever before, and it's really growing quite high, up high now. It's hard to see with the trees in the background, but it's from there about 5 meters now till the furthest point there, and it's about 1.6 meters high. Then onto the old original Pinkerton. Also started flowering. There's a lot of flowers, and I'm actually happy this year that it's flowering, that it's so cold, that it's taking so long to flower. This is the first bunch of flowers, and there's some that's open. Over here though, there's still most of the trees still in this cauliflower stage, and that's really good news, because last year I had a lot of fruit set, but a lot of them fell because of late cold winter, and I think it's delayed this year, so that gives us a chance to have much more flowering in September, which is our spring. 1st of September marks spring day for us here, and so September, October, November, I actually think it's going to still flower into late November. So those fruits that set, theoretically those fruits that set in the later season are the fruits that will stick on the tree. Obviously then also more flowers going around, more bees going around, insects going around, more pollinators, and less stress on the trees with nicer, milder weather, we hope. And so maybe things might look much better for this tree this year and next year. And then there's our Pinkerton that we've marked September. This fruit was set in September last year, so we're going 2 months, we're going to go for a year. This guy will be hanging here. There's some bruises and scars, blemishes. It's actually starting to rot on the bottom there. I've only seen that now. So yeah, it probably should be picked, but for experiment's sake, I'm just gonna let it hang. Otherwise, if I pick it now, then all of this doesn't help anything. So let's just let it hang. There's another 2. They're actually still still getting a lot of girth on them size. This one's grown tremendous amount. He's looking good. I'm actually wondering if I shouldn't pick that one. I think I'm going to do that, because these two have been set in the same time. This one's a much healthier fruit. There might have been an insect or something that's gotten to that fruit. This one's looking much better, and I think I'm going to move that tag. No, you know what? I'm not. I'm going to leave that tag on that avocado and just see what it does. If it drops and it's rotten, then it becomes compost. And the worms get something to eat as well. So I'm just going to leave it, stick to the experiment. And that's the Pinkerton over there. And then I've got all these wind screens. That's helped tremendous amount. Some of them the wind's broken, some of them again. Just to give you an idea how hectic this winds were, I had a pole planted in the ground here, and it pushed it so hard that I just put some other stakes in there just to temporarily support it. It's really wet, and it's the first time in weeks that I actually come out here. You can see how the wind's just, the pressure of the wind on the screen is so, it's trying to protect this has, and it pushed so hard that it snapped that pole off at the bottom there. And then just left of it, I've got this guava tree that I'm just keeping small so that it doesn't dominate, but that actually also gives a lot of wind protection to the has that's right behind it. So together with this and that screen over there, I protect the has tree. Another little seedling that I'll graft at a later stage, and that's pretty much the update I wanted to do on the trees now. This Pinkerton has been flowering much earlier than the other one, and it's gone through a couple of thousand of flowers already that it's all dropped little fruits. This leaves this behind, empty stalks, but a lot of new. I wasn't expecting any fruit set because it's been so wet, so windy, so cold, so just a whole bunch of stress factors. So if an avocado tree sets fruits and holds onto them in conditions like we've had in the past month, kudos. So I'm not angry or anything. The fact that this tree hasn't set any fruits, you can see all the flowers have gone over there, all the flowers have gone over there. But that's the nice thing I think about a Pinkerton. It's got a really long flowering season, and if you've got a long cold winter, then probably the fruit set's not going to be so great. The fruits do set, there's no problems with them setting the fruits, but it's holding on to the fruits. That's the challenge. So still a lot of cauliflower, loads of flowers that still need to come through, and like I said, if we can just enter September, spring, the days warm up, the days get longer, the soil warms up, and then these things can flower. I think then we're gonna win. We're gonna have some fruits. And there we go. Thanks for watching. That's just a quick update on the avocados in the backyard.